Magic is one of the oldest performing arts in the world, in which audiences are entertained by staged tricks or illusions of seemingly impossible or supernatural feats using natural means. These feats are called magic tricks, effects, or illusions. History. The term magic etymologically derives from the Greek word magia. In ancient times, Greeks and Persians had been at war for centuries, and the Persian priests, called magos in Persian, came to be known as magoi in Greek. Ritual acts of Persian priests came to be known as magia, and then magica, which eventually came to mean any foreign, unorthodox, or illegitimate ritual practice. The first book containing explanations of magic tricks appeared in 1584. During the 17th century, many similar books were published that described magic tricks. Until the 18th century, magic shows were a common source of entertainment at fairs. A founding figure of modern entertainment magic was Jean-Eugène Robert Houdin, who had a magic theatre in Paris in 1845. John Henry Anderson was pioneering the same transition in London in the 1840s. Towards the end of the 19th century, large magic shows permanently staged at big theatre venues became the norm. As a form of entertainment, magic easily moved from theatrical venues to television magic specials. Performances that modern observers would recognize as conjuring have been practiced throughout history. For many recorded centuries, magicians were associated with the devil and the occult. During the 19th and 20th centuries, many stage magicians even capitalized on this notion in their advertisements. The same level of ingenuity that was used to produce famous ancient deceptions such as the Trojan horse would also have been used for entertainment, or at least for cheating in money games. They were also used by the practitioners of various religions and cults from ancient times onwards to frighten uneducated people into obedience or turn them into adherence. However, the profession of the illusionist gained strength only in the 18th century, and has enjoyed several popular vogues since. Magic tricks. Opinions vary among magicians on how to categorize a given effect, but a number of categories have been developed. Magicians may pull a rabbit from an empty hat, make something seem to disappear, or transform a red silk handkerchief into a silk handkerchief. Magicians may also destroy something, like cutting a head off, and then restore it, make something appear to move from one place to another, or they may escape from a restraining device. Other illusions include making something appear to defy gravity, making a solid object appear to pass through another object, or appearing to predict the choice of a spectator. Many magical routines use combinations of effects. One of the earliest books on the subject is Gansini's work of 1489, Natural and Unnatural Magic, which describes and explains old-time tricks. In 1584, Englishman Reginald Scott published The Discovery of Witchcraft, part of which was devoted to debunking the claims that magicians used supernatural methods, and showing how their magic tricks were in reality accomplished. Among the tricks discussed were sleight of hand manipulations with rope, paper and coins. At the time, fear and belief in witchcraft was widespread, and the book tried to demonstrate that these fears were misplaced. All obtainable copies were burned on the accession of James I in 1603, and those remaining are now rare. It began to reappear in print in 1651. During the 17th century, many similar books were published that described in detail the methods of a number of magic tricks, including the art of conjuring and the anatomy of legerdemain, the art of juggling, Until the 18th century, magic shows were a common source of entertainment at fairs, where itinerant performers would entertain the public with magic tricks, as well as the more traditional spectacles of sword swallowing, juggling and fire breathing. In the early 18th century, as belief in witchcraft was waning, the art became increasingly respectable and shows would be put on for rich private patrons. A notable figure in this transition was the English showman Isaac Fawkes, who began to promote his act in advertisements from the 1720s. He even claimed to have performed for King George II. One of Fawkes' advertisements described his routine in some detail. He takes an empty bag, lays it on the table and turns it several times inside out, then commands 100 eggs out of it and several showers of real gold and silver. Then the bag beginning to swell, several sorts of wild fowl run out of it upon the table. He throws up a pack of cards, and causes them to be living birds flying about the room. He causes living beasts, birds, and other creatures to appear upon the table. He blows the spots of the cards off and on, and changes them to any pictures. From 1756 to 1781, Jacob Philadelphia performed feats of magic, sometimes under the guise of scientific exhibitions, throughout Europe and in Russia. Modern stage magic. A founding figure of modern entertainment magic was Jean Eugene Robert Houdin, originally a clockmaker, who opened a magic theatre in Paris in 1845. He transformed his art from one performed at fairs to a performance that the public paid to see at the theatre. His speciality was constructing mechanical automata that appeared to move and act as if alive. Many of Robert Houdin's mechanisms for illusion were pirated by his assistant and ended up in the performances of his rivals, John Henry Anderson and Alexander Herman. John Henry Anderson was pioneering the same transition in London. In 1840 he opened the New Strand Theatre, where he performed as the Great Wizard of the North. His success came from advertising his shows and captivating his audience with expert showmanship. He became one of the earliest magicians to attain a high level of world renown. He opened a second theatre in Glasgow in 1845. Towards the end of the century, large magic shows permanently staged at big theatre venues became the norm. The British performer J.N. Maskelyne and his partner Cook established their own theatre, the Egyptian Hall, in London's Piccadilly, in 1873. The show incorporated stage illusions and reinvented traditional tricks with exotic imagery. The potential of the stage was exploited for hidden mechanisms and assistance, and the control it offers over the audience's point of view. Maskelyne and Cook invented many of the illusions still performed today, one of his best known being levitation. The model for the look of a typical magician, a man with wavy hair, a top hat, a goatee, and a tailcoat, was Alexander Herman, also known as Herman the Great. Herman was a French magician and was part of the Herman family name that is the first family of magic. The escapologist and magician Harry Houdini took his stage name from Robert Houdin and developed a range of stage magic tricks, many of them based on what became known after his death as escapology. Houdini was genuinely skilled in techniques such as lock-picking and escaping straitjackets, but also made full use of the range of conjuring techniques, including fake equipment and collusion with individuals in the audience. Houdini's show business savvy was as great as his performance skill. There is a Houdini museum dedicated to him in Scranton, Pennsylvania. The Magic Circle was formed in London in 1905 to promote and advance the art of stage magic. As a form of entertainment, magic easily moved from theatrical venues to television specials, which opened up new opportunities for deceptions, and brought stage magic to huge audiences. Famous magicians of the 20th century included Okito, David Devon, Harry Blackstone Sr., Harry Blackstone Jr., Howard Thurston, Theodore Anneman, Cardini, Joseph Dunning Di Vernon, Fred Culpit, Tommy Wonder, Siegfried and Amp, Roy and Doug Henning. Popular 20th and 21st century magicians include David Copperfield, Lance Burton, James Randi, Penn and Teller, David Blaine, Chris Angel, Hans Klopp, Darren Brown, Dynamo and Citrix Slates. Also well-known women would include Della Dell and Dorothy Dietrich. Most TV magicians perform before a live audience, who provide the remote viewer with a reassurance that the illusions are not obtained with post-production visual effects. Many of the principles of stage magic are old. There is an expression, "It's all done with smoke and mirrors," used to explain something baffling, but effects seldom use mirrors today, due to the amount of installation work and transport difficulties. For example, the famous Pepper's Ghost, a stage illusion first used in 19th century London, required a specially built theatre. Modern performers have vanished objects as large as the Taj Mahal, the Statue of Liberty, and a space shuttle, using other kinds of optical deceptions. Categories of effects. Opinions vary among magicians as to how to categorize a given effect, and disagreement as to what categories actually exist. For instance, some magicians consider penetrations a separate category, while others consider penetrations a form of restoration or teleportation. Some magicians today, such as Guy Hollingworth and Tom Stone, have begun to challenge the notion that all magic effects fit into a limited number of categories. Among magicians who believe in a limited number of categories, there has been disagreement as to how many different types of effects there are. Some of these are listed below. Production. The magician produces something from nothing, a rabbit from an empty hat, a fan of cards from thin air, a shower of coins from an empty bucket, a dove from a pan, or the magician himself or herself appearing in a puff of smoke on an empty stage. All of these effects are productions. The vanish. The magician makes something disappear, a coin, a cage of doves, milk from a newspaper, an assistant from a cabinet, or even the Statue of Liberty. A vanish, being the reverse of a production, may use a similar technique in reverse. Transformation. The magician transforms something from one state into another. A silk handkerchief changes color, a lady turns into a tiger, an indifferent card changes to the spectator's chosen card. Restoration. The magician destroys an object, a rope is cut, a newspaper is torn, a woman is cut in half, a borrowed watch is smashed to pieces, then restores it to its original state. Transportation. The magician causes something to move from one place to another. A borrowed ring is found inside a ball of wool, a canary inside a light bulb, an assistant from a cabinet to the back of the theater, or a coin from one hand to the other. When two objects exchange places, it is called the transposition of simultaneous double transportation. A transportation can be seen as a combination of a vanish and a production. When performed by a mentalist, it might be called teleportation. Escape. The magician is placed in a restraining device, or a death trap, and escapes to safety. Examples include being put in a straitjacket and into an overflowing tank of water, and being tied up and placed in a car being sent through a car crusher. Levitation. The magician defies gravity, either by making something float in the air, or with the aid of another object. A silver ball floats around a cloth. An assistant floats in midair. Another is suspended from a broom. A scarf dances in a sealed bottle. The magician hovers a few inches off the floor. There are many popular ways to create this illusion, including Azra levitation, Balducci levitation, and King levitation. The flying illusion has often been performed by David Copperfield and more recently by Peter Marvey. Harry Blackstone floated a light bulb over the heads of the public. Penetration. The magician makes a solid object pass through another. A set of steel rings link and unlink. A candle penetrates an arm. Swords pass through an assistant in a basket. A salt shaker penetrates a tabletop, or a man walks through a mirror, sometimes referred to as solid through solid. Prediction. The magician predicts the choice of a spectator or the outcome of an event. A newspaper headline. The total amount of loose change in the spectator's pocket. A picture drawn on a slate under seemingly impossible circumstances. Many magical routines use combinations of effects. For example, in cups and balls, a magician may use vanishes, productions, penetrations, teleportation and transformations as part of the one presentation. The methodology behind magic is often referred to as a science, while the performance aspect is more of an art form. Learning magic. Dedication to magic can teach confidence and creativity, as well as the work ethic associated with regular practice and the responsibility that comes with devotion to an art. The teaching of performance magic was once a secretive practice. Professional magicians were unwilling to share knowledge with anyone outside the profession to prevent the laity from learning the secrets. This often made it difficult for an interested apprentice to learn anything but the basics of magic. Some had strict rules against members discussing magic secrets with anyone but established magicians. For the 1584 publication of Reginald Scott's Discovery of Witchcraft until the end of the 19th century, only a few books were available for magicians to learn the craft, whereas today mass-market books offer a myriad titles. Videos and DVDs are a newer medium of tuition, but many of the methods found in this format are readily found in previously published books. However, they can serve as a visual demonstration. Persons interested in learning to perform magic can join magic clubs. Here magicians, both seasoned and novitiate, can work together and help one another for mutual improvement, to learn new techniques, to discuss all aspects of magic, to perform for each other, sharing advice, encouragement, and criticism. Before a magician can join one of these clubs, they usually have to audition. The purpose is to show to the membership they are a magician and not just someone off the street wanting to discover magical secrets. The world's largest magic organization is the International Brotherhood of Magicians. It publishes a monthly journal, The Linking Ring. The oldest organization is the Society of American Magicians, of which Houdini was a member and president for several years. In London, England, there is the Magic Circle, which houses the largest magic library in Europe. Also PSYCRETS, the British Society of Mystery Entertainers, caters specifically to mentists, bizarrists, storytellers, readers, spiritualist performers, and other mystery entertainers. Davenport's Magic in London's The Strand is the world's oldest family-run magic shop. The Magic Castle in Hollywood, California, is home to the Academy of Magical Arts. Traditionally, magicians refuse to reveal the methods behind their tricks to the audience. Membership in professional magicians' organizations often requires a commitment never to reveal the secrets of magic to non-magicians. The teaching of performance magic was once a secretive practice. Magic performances tend to fall into a few specialties or genres. Stage illusions use large-scale props and even large animals. Platform magic is performed for a medium to large audience. Close-up magic is performed with the audience close to the magician. Escapology involves escapes from confinement or restraints. Pickpocket magicians take audience members' wallets, belts, and ties. Mentalism creates the illusion that the magician can read minds. Comedy magic is the use of magic combined with stand-up comedy, an example being pen and amp teller. Some modern illusionists believe that it is unethical to give a performance that claims to be anything other than a clever and skillful deception. Others argue that they can claim that the effects are due to magic. These apparently irreconcilable differences of opinion have led to some conflicts among performers. Another issue is the use of deceptive practices for personal gain outside the venue of a magical performance. Examples include fraudulent mediums, con men and grifters who use deception for cheating at card games. Types of magic performance. Magic performances tend to fall into a few specialties or genres. Stage illusions are performed for large audiences, typically within a theater or auditorium. This type of magic is distinguished by large-scale props, the use of assistants and often exotic animals such as elephants and tigers. Famous stage illusionists, past and present, include Harry Blackstone, Sr., Howard Thurston, Chung Ling Soo, David Copperfield, Lance Burton, Siegfried and Amp Roy, and Harry Blackstone, Jr. Parlor magic is done for larger audiences than close-up magic and for smaller audiences than stage magic. In parlor magic, the performer is usually standing and on the same level as the audience, which may be seated on chairs or even on the floor. According to the Encyclopedia of Magic and Magicians by T.A. Waters, the phrase is often used as a pejorative to imply that an effect under discussion is not suitable for professional performance. Also, many magicians consider the term parlor old-fashioned and limiting, since this type of magic is often done in rooms much larger than the traditional parlor, or even outdoors. A better term for this branch of magic may be platform, club, or cabaret. Platform magic is performed for a medium to large audience. Nightclub magic and comedy club magic are also examples of this form. The use of illusionettes is common. This genre includes the skilled manipulation of props such as billiard balls, card fans, doves, rabbits, silks, and rope. Examples of such magicians include Jeff McBride, Penn and Amp Teller, David Abbott, Channing Pollock, Black Herman, and Fred Capps. Micro-magic is performed with the audience close to the magician, sometimes even one-on-one. It usually makes use of everyday items as props, such as cards, coins, and seemingly impromptu effects. This may be called table magic, particularly when performed as dinner entertainment. Ricky J. Mardy Moudini, and Lee Asher, following in the traditions of Di Vernon, Slidini, and Max Malini, are considered among the foremost practitioners of close-up magic. Escapology is the branch of magic that deals with escapes from confinement or restraints. Harry Houdini is a well-known example of an escape artist or escapologist. Pickpocket magicians use magic to misdirect the audience while removing wallets, belts, ties, and other personal effects. It can be presented on a stage, in a cabaret setting, before small close-up groups, or even for one spectator. Well-known pickpockets include James Friedman, David Avarden, Bob Arno, and Apollo Robbins. Mentalism creates the impression in the minds of the audience that the performer possesses special powers to read thoughts, predict events, control other minds, and similar feats. It can be presented on a stage, in a cabaret setting, before small close-up groups, or even for one spectator. Well-known mentalists of the past and present include Alexander the Zanchigs, Axel Hellstrom, Dunning A. Kreskin, Darren Brown, Rich Ferguson, Guy Bavley, and Banachek. Theatrical seances simulate spiritualistic or mediumistic phenomena for theatrical effect. This genre of stage magic has been misused at times by charlatans pretending to actually be in contact with spirits. Children's magic is performed for an audience primarily composed of children. It is typically performed at birthday parties, preschools, elementary schools, Sunday schools, or libraries. This type of magic is usually comedic in nature and involves audience interaction as well as volunteer assistance. Online magic tricks were designed to function on a computer screen. The computer essentially replaces the magician. Some online magic tricks recreate traditional card tricks and require user participation, while others, like Plato's Cursed Triangle, are based on mathematical, geometrical and/or optical illusions. One such online magic trick, called Esmeralda's Crystal Ball, became a viral phenomenon that fooled so many computer users into believing that the computer had supernatural powers, that Snopes dedicated a page to debunking the trick. Math magic is a genre of stage magic that combines magic and mathematics. It is commonly used by children's magicians and mentalists. Corporate magic. A trade show magic uses magic as a communication and sales tool, as opposed to just straightforward entertainment. Corporate magicians may come from a business background and typically present at meetings, conferences and product launch. They run workshops and can sometimes be found at trade shows, where the patterned illusions enhance an entertaining presentation of the products offered by the corporate sponsors. Pioneer performers in this arena include Eddie Tulloch and Guy Bavley. Gospel magic uses magic to catechize and evangelize. Gospel magic was first used by Saint Don Bosco to interest children in 19th century Turin, Italy, to come back to school, to accept assistance and to attend church. Street magic is a form of street performing or busking that employs a hybrid of stage magic, platform and close-up magic, usually performed in the round or surrounded by the audience. Notable modern street magic performers include Jeff Sheridan and Gazzo. Since the first David Blaine TV special Street Magic aired in 1997, the term street magic has also come to describe a style of guerrilla performance in which magicians approach and perform for unsuspecting members of the public on the street. Unlike traditional street magic, this style is almost purely designed for TV and gains its impact from the wild reactions of the public. Magicians of this type include David Blaine and Cyril Takayama. Bizarre magic uses mystical, horror, fantasy, and other similar themes in performance. Bizarre magic is typically performed in a close-up venue, although some performers have effectively presented it in a stage setting. Charles Cameron has generally been credited as the godfather of bizarre magic. Others such as Tony Androzzi have contributed significantly to its development. Shock magic is a genre of magic that shocks the audience. Sometimes referred to as geek magic, it takes its roots from circus sideshows, in which freakish performances were shown to audiences. Common shock magic or geek magic effects include eating razor blades, needle through arm, string through neck and pen through tongue. Comedy magic is the use of magic in which is combined with stand-up comedy. Famous comedy magicians include Ed Alonzo, Penn and Amp Teller, and Levant. Quick change magic is the use of magic in which is combined with changing very fast costumes. Famous quick change artists include Essos and Amp Victoria Petrosian.